Dan, are all systems go? Are we ready to proceed?
Yep, we're all set. Have a good amount of listeners in, so I think it's time to start.
All right, great. Except I cannot advance my screen. Oh, there we go. Welcome to the InFuse Orientation webinar. My name is Sherry Dixon, one of the InFuse corporate committee members who has the pleasure of presenting InFuse, which is MMSDC's new corporate mentoring program. All phones are muted. Questions are welcomed and will be answered at the end of the presentation. Please ask your questions through the webinar's chat function or when calls are unmuted at the end of the presentation. This webinar is being recorded. A link to the recording will be sent within 24 hours, along with other items referenced during the presentation. To ensure a successful mentoring experience, we will review 5 main topics of the InFuse program, followed again with any questions you may have. Let's start with the overview. To promote the progression and development of corporate supplier diversity initiatives, MMSDC is excited to provide a corporate mentoring program where corporate members are paired with a mentor. A mentor will be an experienced peer advocate. The mentor will facilitate discussions through a structured, guided program based on the MMSDC best practices, sharing knowledge, experiences, examples, as well as providing support and advice. We expect that the mentee and mentor will gain significant value from the knowledge sharing and collaborate on new ideas to address emerging issues and needs. InFuse includes an online supplier diversity assessment tool, which will help to analyze your corporation's current state, identifying your strengths and weaknesses, areas for opportunities, as well as setting a baseline to measure your progress along your journey. So what are the expectations? Well, using the mentoring program guide to spark conversations and ideas. We realize that this guide will not cover all the needs and areas of interest, but treat it as merely as a guide to foster focused conversations on a specific best practice. Feel free to modify fit needs. I mentioned briefly about the supplier diversity assessment. We are very excited about this piece of the program. So part of the expectations is we're going to expect all the mentees to complete the online supplier diversity assessment. We highly recommend that the mentee complete the assessment with their mentor, as there may be areas that require clarification. The assessment should be done in the launch meeting, which is the first one-on-one meeting. The assessment will identify the top priorities or goals per best practice, setting up your future meetings. Be prepared for your meetings by sharing examples and visuals. Bring in documents that you are comfortable sharing on your one-on-one meetings. We also expect that you schedule 9 meetings within a 12-month period that best meets your schedules and learning needs. Meetings could be one-on-one meetings, which we do prefer, or perhaps partnering with other mentors or corporates on specific topics. We encourage you to also leverage MMSDC resources and programming, such as corporate workshops or the new AIM program scheduled to launch soon. In-person meetings are recommended, but we realize at times conference calls and webinars may be more accommodating to your schedules. Please limit these virtual meetings to no more than 4. When we were pairing mentees and mentors, we did consider the proximity of office locations to promote convenience in meeting with the one-on-one opportunities. And of course, maintain and respect that information shared is confidential and may be proprietary. After each meeting, MMSDC will request meaning assessments from both the mentors and mentees. Your feedback is essential, and we will use your opinions and feedback to enhance the program or possibly develop additional training programs within MMSDC. So we developed the curriculum. Again, everything is outlined in the mentoring program, and we recommend that you just use this program as a guide to navigate the conversations. The first meeting will be the lunch meeting, which includes completing the online assessment, reviewing the NMSDC best practices, setting your goals, gaining an understanding of barriers and needs within the corporation, and connecting to additional resources, whether it be MMSDC, NMSDC, or the CSDP. So all those resources will be discussed during that first meeting. The future meetings will be based on the NMSDC 8 best practices. We also included the 4 emerging best practices as identified from the $1 Billion Roundtable corporate members. Emerging best practices includes topics such as the global initiatives, public sector, sustainability, and HBCUs. Each best practice agenda will include 3 sections. I've got a snapshot here on the screen. 1, the identification of the top 3 priorities or goals. So when you complete your assessment, you will see where your strengths and weaknesses are, and you will identify 3 that you want to focus on in that conversation. Some thought starters or ideas that could be explored and put to action. So you will see this in the implement new ideas processes section. And finally, suggestions for measuring progress and examples of deliverables. You are welcome and encouraged to add other concepts that see fit. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the assessment. So the assessment is based on the 12 best practices, again, 8 NMSDC best practices that we all know, and the 4 emerging best practices as identified by the $1 Billion Roundtable. Because the assessment statements may not be clear to all industries or perhaps all levels of experiences, we highly recommend that you complete this assessment with your mentor. The survey should take approximately 30 minutes, and mentors are also welcome to complete the survey on their own if interested. Once the survey is completed, you will receive an immediate overall score, so 1 score for the total assessment for your corporate initiative. A detailed score by best practice and the measure of success, which I have an example here to the right of the screen, will follow within 24 hours. Use this detailed assessment results to determine your goals. So I just identified 3 best practices, and you can see how you will score each statement, whether or not you have implemented that measure of success in your corporation. So the scoring will be based on red, could be an item that has not been implemented in your organization, yellow, partially implemented, or green, successfully implemented. So next steps, connect with your mentors. Everyone on this call should have received a mentee or mentor introduction email. If not, contact a member of the InFuse committee. Mentors, please work out the logistics of obtaining the InFuse mentoring guides for you and your mentee. The guides are available from the MMSDC office. Schedule your launch meeting within the next 30 days. Review the recommended agenda and be prepared. So on the right here, I have an image of the agenda for the launch meeting. And there's a section there in the agenda on what you should prepare for. There's some additional resources. Following this webinar, the MMSDC office will send to mentors the following items: the link to this recorded InFuse orientation webinar, this presentation, the link to the MMSDC supplier diversity assessment. Again, don't jump the gun. Please make sure you talk to your mentor before completing that assessment, and the agenda for the launch meeting. So before we break for questions, a huge thank you to the InFuse committee members who volunteer their time and resources to develop InFuse. Thank you to Jackie Jackson from Albridge, Brenda Marshall, Kelly Services, Art McClellan from Valio, and the talented staff at MMSDC, Dan Jackson and Clarence Oliver. Dan, can you please open the line for questions? Do we have any questions? Dan, are you there?
Oh, I'm gonna mute myself. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So all lines are off mute now. If you do have questions, please feel free to ask. If you're talking and it seems like we aren't responding, it's probably because of the microphone. So use the chat function as well.
Hi, Sherry. This is Teresa Lefevre. Nice presentation. It looks like a great program. I'm excited to get started with my mentee. Is it anticipated that other resources within the mentor organizations would be involved in this, or are you mainly focusing on the supplier diversity managers?
You can bring in additional resources as you see fit based on the mentee's needs. So if you see fit, you have somebody in your organization that can add value to the conversation, by all means, you're welcome to include them. So we intended to have flexibility in the program where the mentor and the mentee can really decide what you need and where you need it. But we're just asking that you somewhat follow the curriculum and cover, at a minimum, the 8 best practices. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Jerry, this is Eric with PPG. Can you hear me?
I can, thank you.
Will there be an opportunity for all of the mentor-mentee pairs to have a joint meeting? Just kind of an assessment of where everybody's at. Will we be getting together like through our meeting process?
I think that's an excellent idea, and we will take that into consideration. If there's an opportunity arise, if there's another MMSDC event, I know the committee would take that on as an opportunity to bring the group together. So thank you for bringing that forward.
Sherry, it's Teresa again. Is this linked at all with the new AIM process?
There will be some linkage once AIM is deployed, yes.
Okay.
And that's where I mentioned where you can leverage some resources on AIM. So as soon as that is launched, if we feel that there's some conversations that we want to merge the groups together or do an invitation to Eric's point, we will look at doing those things.
Hi, this is Brenda. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, Brenda.
Hi, everyone. To answer Teresa's question, there is collaboration between AIM and InFuse, but as you look at them, the function and the purpose will be different. So all focused on growth and development, but taking different formats to achieve those goals. And we can share more with you about that later too. I was going to say, to me, the biggest difference is where AIM is focused on bringing the MBEs and the corporates. InFuse is corporate to corporate mentoring. And then AIM is, again, that professional development growth curriculum type initiatives to support MBEs and corporations and set us up for further alignment and growth between the two as well.
Thank you, Brenda.
Questions?
All right. Well, questions anytime, please. So feel free to contact any member of the corporate committee members or MMSDC. We have all their contact information in this presentation.
Okay.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you for your time today. This concludes the webinar. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Hey, Dan.